Life has a way of testing us in ways we never expect. There are days when we wake up with a heavy heart, weighed down by responsibilities, fears of the future, and scars of the past. Sometimes, it feels as if every door is closing and every path is blocked. You pray, you try, you hope, but nothing seems to move. And in those moments, worry begins to take over. It eats away at your peace. It robs you of sleep and it whispers in your ear, what if things never change? But let me ask you this. Has worry ever solved a single problem in your life? Has lying awake at night replaying every scenario ever opened a closed door? Worry only weakens your heart, while trust in Allah strengthens it. You see, the difference between a believer and one who is lost in despair is this: the believer knows that even in the darkest night, Allah is preparing the dawn. Even when the road seems blocked, Allah is paving a new path, one you may not yet see. Think about the stories of the prophets. Prophet Musa, as stood before the Red Sea with an enemy army at his back. Every human logic said it was the end. But Allah opened the sea and made a way where there was no way. Prophet Yunus, was swallowed by the belly of the whale, trapped in the darkest of prisons. Yet he turned to Allah with trust, and Allah brought him out to safety. If Allah could make a way for them in situations that seemed impossible, what makes you think He cannot make a way for you? Worry is one of the most draining forces in life, because it eats away at your energy without ever giving you anything in return. It is like a thief that comes in quietly and steals your peace, your focus and your strength. When a person worries, their mind is trapped in a cycle of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. They imagine every possible outcome, and almost always, those imagined outcomes are darker and heavier than reality itself. Yet none of that worrying changes the situation. The problem remains the same, the burden is still there, but the heart becomes weaker because worry has consumed its light. Trust, on the other hand, is completely different. Trust is like a fresh wind that fills the soul with hope and clarity. When you put your trust in Allah, suddenly the same heavy situation feels lighter, because you know you are not carrying it alone. You are not fighting battles with only your own limited strength. You are relying on the strength of the one who never fails. A person who chooses worry over trust is like someone who keeps looking at a locked door, shaking it, pulling it, trying to force it open, only to grow more frustrated because it doesn't budge. They forget that sometimes the locked door is not meant to open, because Allah has already prepared another door, a better one, down the hall. The one who trusts, however, doesn't waste energy panicking at the locked door. They turn to Allah in prayer, they step back, they breathe, and they wait for Him to guide them toward the right path. Trust gives you patience, and patience gives you resilience. Think about the way Prophet Musa, stood with his people in front of the Red Sea. If worry had overtaken him, he would have seen only two outcomes: drowning in the sea or being destroyed by the enemy behind them. But because he trusted Allah, he spoke with certainty, "Indeed, my Lord is with me." That trust opened a way no human mind could have imagined. The sea itself parted. This is the power of trust. It turns the impossible into reality. While worry convinces you that even the possible is out of reach, worry weakens because it consumes your body as much as your mind. How many times do people become sick, tired, or unable to sleep because of constant worrying? Their body aches, their chest feels heavy, their thoughts become cloudy, and they lose the energy to do what could actually improve their situation. Worry immobilizes. It tricks you into believing you are being productive, because you are thinking constantly, but in truth, you are standing still. Trust strengthens because it allows you to take action without fear of the unknown. A heart that trusts Allah knows that effort never goes to waste, even if results are delayed. That kind of heart can move forward, work hard, and still rest peacefully at night knowing Allah's plan is greater than their fear. When you trust Allah, you are not ignoring your problems, you are facing them with faith instead of fear. Worry says, "This situation is bigger than me, I can't handle it." Trust says, "This situation is bigger than me, but it is never bigger than Allah." Worry magnifies the problem, while trust magnifies the power of Allah. Worry locks you inside a prison of your thoughts, but trust frees you to live with peace even while problems still exist. The problem might remain, but the way you carry it changes completely. A heavy stone carried alone will break your back, but when you place it in the hands of someone stronger, suddenly you can walk with ease. That is what trust in Allah does. It allows you to keep moving without being crushed. Every person has faced moments where they thought they could not survive the weight they were carrying, yet they are still here today. That itself is proof that Allah never abandoned them. But the difference between those who collapse and those who rise is often just this. Some chose to drown in worry, and some chose to rise with trust. Trust doesn't mean life becomes easy, it means your heart becomes strong enough to handle the difficulty. Worry whispers defeat, but trust speaks victory. Worry weakens your resolve, but but trust makes you courageous. Worry limits your perspective, but trust opens your eyes to the unseen mercy of Allah. The truth is, both worry and trust require imagination. Worry imagines every negative possibility, while trust imagines the goodness and mercy of Allah unfolding in ways unseen. Since both are choices of the heart, why choose the one that breaks you down instead of the one that builds you up? Allah promises in the Quran that whoever relies upon Him, He will be sufficient for them. That promise alone should be enough to silence the voice of worry. When you remember that the Lord who created the heavens and the earth is taking care of your life, how can you allow worry to weaken you? Strength is found in surrender, in handing your affairs over to Allah and walking with the confidence that He will never let you down. One of the most comforting truths for a believer is knowing that Allah already knows the way when we feel lost, confused, or uncertain about what lies ahead. Human beings are limited in their vision. We see only what is in front of us, and even that is often clouded by fear, assumptions, and impatience. But Allah's knowledge is perfect, complete, and eternal. He sees the beginning and the end at once. He knows the path we cannot yet see, and He understands the wisdom behind every twist, turn, and delay. When you realize this, your heart begins to rest, because you no longer feel the pressure of having to figure everything out on your own. You begin to walk with a sense of calm, knowing that the one who designed your life has already written the best outcomes for you. Imagine a child walking through a crowded market. The child cannot see beyond the legs of people. Noise surrounds them, and everything feels overwhelming. But that child holds firmly to the hand of their parent. They do not need to know the way through the crowd, because the parent does. The child simply trusts that the parent will guide them safely to their destination. In the same way, we are like that child, and Allah is the one guiding us. The world may feel chaotic, paths may feel uncertain, but when you place your hand in Allah's, you can walk with peace because He already knows where He is taking you. Often, what makes us worry is not the present moment but the unknown of the future. We ask ourselves, what if I fail? What if I lose? What if things don't work out? These questions eat away at our peace because we are trying to control what is never in our control. But Allah already has the answers to those what ifs. He has decreed what will happen tomorrow, next year, and even decades from now. Nothing is hidden from Him. So why exhaust yourself with fear when the outcome is already safe in His knowledge? The Quran reminds us again and again that Allah is the best of planners. You may think you know what is good for you, but Allah knows the truth of what will benefit you and what will harm you. Sometimes, the very thing you are begging for is something that would break you if you had it now. Sometimes, the delay you hate so much is the shield protecting you from harm you cannot see. And sometimes, the closed door that frustrates you is actually the mercy of Allah redirecting you to a better opportunity that you would have missed had you forced your way through. Allah already knows the way, and His wisdom is beyond what our minds can grasp. Think about the story of Prophet Yusuf, a.s. As a young boy, he was thrown into a well by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. At each step, one could say the path looked darker and more hopeless. Yet every single hardship was actually a step closer to the great plan Allah had for him. To raise him in honor, give him wisdom, and make him a leader who saved nations from famine. If Yusuf had judged his situation only by what he could see, he might have thought Allah had abandoned him. But in reality, Allah already knew the way, and each trial was part of the perfect plan. In our lives too, what feels like loss, rejection, or failure may simply be part of a greater design we cannot yet see. Allah does not ask us to understand the plan, He asks us to trust the planner. There is a deep relief in knowing you do not have to have all the answers. You don't need to see the full map, when the guide already knows the destination. You only need to take one step at a time with faith in your heart. When you truly internalize that Allah already knows the way, your heart stops resisting the flow of life. You stop questioning every delay, every setback, every hardship with bitterness. Instead, you begin to see them as part of a divine curriculum designed to prepare you for what is coming. The believer's heart learns to say, I may not understand this now, but I know Allah's knowledge is perfect, and He sees what I cannot see. That mindset alone brings a peace no amount of worry can ever give. Trusting that Allah already knows the way also helps you move through life with courage. When you know the one guiding you has infinite wisdom and infinite power, you walk differently. You take risks, you strive, you dream, and you act with the assurance that whatever happens is within Allah's plan. Even if you stumble, it is part of the journey He already wrote for you. And even if you fail in one direction, He will redirect you to another path that is better for you. Nothing is wasted when Allah is the one leading the way. This realization also softens the heart during times of pain. When you lose something precious, when your plans collapse, or when life feels uncertain, You can remind yourself that Allah knew this would happen before you even existed. He did not allow it without reason, and He already has a way forward for you. That knowledge turns grief into patience, fear into calmness, and despair into hope. It doesn't take away the pain, but it gives the pain a purpose. Every journey you are on has already been seen, measured, and guided by Allah. While you see obstacles, He sees opportunities. While you see endings, He sees beginnings. While you see confusion, He sees clarity. The more you lean into this truth, the more your heart is freed from the prison of anxiety. Because the path may be hidden to you, but it is never hidden to Allah. He already knows the way, and His way is always the best way. Every person in life faces tests, and no one is exempt from them. They come in many forms: loss of wealth, difficulties in relationships, struggles with health, or even the weight of unseen worries in the heart. At first, tests feel like punishments, like heavy stones placed on the shoulders. But the reality is that tests are not meant to crush you, they are meant to grow you. They are the classrooms of life where Allah teaches lessons that comfort cannot teach. Growth does not happen in ease, because ease makes people comfortable, and comfort rarely pushes a person to discover their strength. Growth happens when you are stretched, when you are challenged, and when you are forced to rise above what you thought was possible. Tests are not barriers, they are gateways that open into new strength, wisdom, and resilience. Consider a seed planted deep into the soil. It must push through the darkness, break through the dirt, and struggle toward the sunlight. That struggle is what allows it to become a tree. Without the pressure of the soil, it would never rise. In the same way, tests place you in difficult soil, but it is through that very struggle that your true potential is revealed. Without hardship, you would not discover the patience you didn't know you had, the courage you didn't think you carried, or the faith you didn't realize was so deep within you. When Allah tests you, it is not because He wants to see you suffer. It is because He wants to elevate you, cleanse you, and prepare you for greater things. The Prophet Muhammad said that when Allah loves a people, He tests them. That means your hardships are not signs of rejection, but signs of divine attention. They are signs that Allah has chosen you for a higher level of growth, for a stronger connection to Him, and for a greater reward in this life and the next. The fire that melts wax also hardens clay. In the same way, the fire of tests is meant to strengthen the believer, not destroy them. Think of Prophet Abraham as tested with leaving his family in a barren desert and later with the command to sacrifice his beloved son. To an ordinary person, these trials would feel unbearable. Yet through each test, his faith was refined, his trust in Allah deepened, and his legacy grew so strong that he became the father of prophets and a symbol of unwavering submission. His tests became gateways to honor. Or consider Prophet Ayyub as, who lost his health, wealth, and family yet remained patient and faithful. Through his trials, his story became one of timeless inspiration, reminding humanity that patience in tests leads to immense growth and divine mercy. On a personal level, every hardship you face has the potential to transform you. When you go through financial struggles, you learn gratitude for even the smallest provisions. When you experience heartbreak, you discover that love from Allah is the only love that never abandons you. When you face failure, you realize that success is not defined by worldly measures but by resilience and perseverance. Every test strips away illusions and teaches you truths that comfort could never show. Tests are also gateways to growth because they force you to turn back to Allah in ways you might neglect when life is easy. When everything is smooth, prayers may become routine, and gratitude may become shallow. But when hardship strikes, suddenly your du'as become more sincere, your sujud becomes longer, and your heart becomes softer. Tests awaken the soul and remind you that you are dependent on Allah alone. This renewed connection is itself growth, because it strengthens your relationship with the one who controls all outcomes. Another way tests build growth is by teaching empathy. When you suffer, you gain a deeper understanding of the pain of others. The person who has been hungry understands the value of food. The person who has lost a loved one knows how to comfort the grieving. The person who has faced rejection knows how to encourage others. Through tests, Allah molds your heart to be more compassionate, and this compassion enriches your character and elevates your humanity. Sometimes growth is not visible immediately. In the moment, all you may feel is pain, confusion, or exhaustion. But later, when you look back, you realize how much the trial changed you. You see how you became stronger, wiser, and more faithful because of what you endured. You realize that the test was not a dead end, but a doorway to a new level of life. It is like climbing a mountain. The climb is tiring, painful, and sometimes discouraging, but once you reach the top, the view is breathtaking, and you realize every step was worth it. The beauty of tests is that they do not last forever, but the growth they create within you remains. Hardships eventually pass, but the patience you learn, the faith you develop, and the wisdom you gain become part of who you are. Every trial plants a seed of strength in you, and with time, that seed grows into qualities that shape your destiny. Tests are temporary, but growth is lasting. So whenever you face difficulties, remind yourself that this is not the end of your story. It is simply a chapter of growth. Every tear, every sleepless night, and every moment of pain is molding you into someone stronger, someone closer to Allah, someone capable of carrying greater blessings in the future. The test is not there to block your way. It is there to open a gate that leads you to higher ground, to deeper faith, and to greater resilience. Dua is one of the most powerful tools a believer has, because it is a direct connection between the servant and the Lord of the heavens and the earth. It is not just words whispered into the air. It is a weapon that pierces through the barriers of despair, a rope that pulls the heart out of darkness, and a shield that protects the soul from hopelessness. When you raise your hands in dua, you are declaring that you are not alone in your struggle, that you are not relying only on your own limited strength, but that you are calling upon the infinite power of Allah. A weapon gives you the ability to fight back against what threatens you, and dua gives you the ability to fight back against fear, worry, weakness, and hardship. With every sincere dua, you push away despair and draw closer to the mercy and guidance of Allah. But a weapon alone is not enough if the heart does not trust the one who grants victory. That is where tawakkul comes in. Tawakkul is the shield that guards your heart from doubt and despair. It is the calmness that settles over you when you remind yourself that no effort is wasted in the sight of Allah, and no outcome escapes His wisdom. Tawakkul is not passive, it is active trust. It means you make your effort, you use your weapon of dua, and then you stand firmly under the shield of trust, knowing that Allah will never abandon you. Without this shield, the whispers of Shaitan, the fear of failure, and the uncertainty of life will strike your heart and weaken your resolve. But with tawakkul, your heart remains steady even in the storm, because you know Allah is the one guiding your steps. The beauty of dua and tawakkul is that they complete each other. Dua without tawakkul can turn into impatience, where a person demands results immediately and loses hope when answers seem delayed. Tawakkul without dua can turn into passivity, where a person does nothing and expects change without making effort. But when they come together, they form a balance that strengthens the believer. You pray with sincerity, you pour your heart into your supplications, and then you place your trust fully in Allah's timing, knowing that He responds in the way that is best for you. Sometimes the answer is immediate, sometimes it is delayed, and sometimes Allah replaces your request with something greater than you could have imagined. Think of the way the Prophet Muhammad made dua in times of difficulty. At the Battle of Badr, he raised his hands until his cloak fell from his shoulders, begging Allah for victory. This was his weapon, his dua filled with humility, sincerity, and urgency. But alongside his dua was his tawakkul, his trust that Allah would never abandon him or his companions. The result was that Allah sent down angels to support the believers. This shows that when dua is combined with tawakkul, even the most impossible battles can be won. Every believer experiences moments where they feel powerless. Circumstances seem out of control, and nothing they do changes the situation. In such moments, dua reminds you that you are never powerless as long as you can call upon Allah. Tawakkul reminds you that even when you do not see immediate results, Allah's plan is unfolding in ways beyond your understanding. Together, they shift your focus from the weight of the problem to the greatness of the one who can solve it. Dua keeps you active in seeking Allah's help, and tawakkul keeps you patient while waiting for His decree. Dua is your weapon, because it is an act of worship that brings Allah's help into your life. It humbles you, reminding you of your dependence on Him, and it empowers you, because you are calling upon the one who has no limits. Tawakkul is your shield because it protects your heart from the arrows of despair, impatience, and negativity. It stops the wounds of life from piercing too deeply, because it covers you with the assurance that Allah is sufficient for you. Together, they make you resilient. Imagine walking into a battle without a weapon or a shield. You would feel exposed, vulnerable, and lightly defeated before the fight even began. Many people face the battles of life this way. Without dua, they lack the weapon to fight spiritually, and without tawakkul, they lack the shield to protect their heart. But the believer who carries dua as a weapon and tawakkul as a shield can walk into any challenge with courage. The problem may still be there, the road may still be long, but the heart is unshaken, because it knows Allah is with them. Dua also transforms your inner state. Sometimes the situation outside does not change immediately, but the act of making dua softens your heart, brings peace to your mind, and lifts the heaviness from your chest. That in itself is a victory, because the greatest battle is often the one within. Tawakkul too transforms your perspective. It teaches you to see delays as protection, to see rejections as redirections, and to see hardships as opportunities for growth. When you carry this mindset, You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as a servant of Allah who is always cared for. Every prophet carried this combination of weapon and shield. Prophet Yunus, trapped in the belly of the whale, made his powerful dua, "There is no deity except you, glory be to you, indeed I was of the wrong doors." That was his weapon, and his tawakkul was his trust that Allah could save him even from the depths of darkness. Allah responded by rescuing him and giving him a new chance. This shows that no matter how hopeless a situation seems, dua and tawakkul together can open a way. So in every moment of hardship, remember to hold on to your weapon and your shield. Use your dua with sincerity and persistence, and then stand firm under the shield of tawakkul, knowing that Allah's plan is always greater than your fear, His mercy is always closer than your despair, and His wisdom is always guiding you even when you cannot see the path. One of the hardest things for the human heart to accept is waiting. We live in a world that thrives on instant results, quick answers and immediate satisfaction. But Allah does not operate on human timelines because His wisdom is greater than our impatience. His timing is always perfect, even when it feels delayed to us. What you think is a setback is often preparation, and what you think is a denial is often protection. Allah sees what you do not see, and He knows when the right time has come for your prayers to be answered, your doors to be opened, and your burdens to be lifted. When you ask Allah for something, He hears you the moment your lips move and your heart whispers. But His response does not always come when you want it. Sometimes He answers immediately, sometimes He delays, and sometimes He redirects you towards something far better. Each of these responses is part of His perfect timing. If you received everything you wanted the instant you asked for it, you would never learn patience, humility, or trust. Delays are not a sign that Allah has forgotten you, they are signs that He is preparing you or protecting you. The truth is, if you were to receive certain blessings too early, they could harm you instead of helping you. Allah's timing ensures that you receive what is written for you exactly when it will benefit you the most. Think of the story of Maryam, when she was in labor, alone under the palm tree. In her moment of weakness, she cried out, wishing for escape. Yet Allah's help came precisely at the moment it was most needed. The trunk of the tree was made to bend so she could eat dates, and a stream appeared beneath her to quench her thirst. Not earlier, not later, but at the perfect time. This is how Allah's mercy works. It arrives not according to our impatience, but according to His wisdom. The same is true in the story of Musa, when he fled from Pharaoh's tyranny. He wandered with uncertainty, yet Allah's plan was unfolding with precision. Each step of his journey, being raised in Pharaoh's house, escaping Egypt, working in Madian, and later returning as a prophet, was carefully timed. Had anything happened earlier or later, when the entire sequence of events would have been disrupted, Allah was preparing him through each stage, shaping him into the leader who would one day confront Pharaoh and guide his people. Allah's timing is never late, nor is it early. It is always exact. In your own life, reflect on the times when you thought a delay was destroying you, only to realize later that it was saving you. Perhaps you prayed for a job you desperately wanted, but it didn't come through. Months later, a better opportunity appeared, and you understood why the first door was closed. Or maybe you prayed for a relationship to work out, but it ended. Later, you saw that what you thought was love was actually harm, and Allah was saving you from a path that would have broken you. These are reminders that your vision is limited, but Allah's vision is complete. Waiting is not wasted time when you trust Allah's timing. It is in the waiting that you are purified, taught, and strengthened. Just as a seed cannot become a tree overnight, you cannot become who you need to be without time. Allah delays certain answers to give you the chance to grow into the person who can carry the blessing. If a child is given the keys to a car before they are ready, it will be a danger, not a gift. In the same way, if Allah gave you everything you asked for before you were ready, it would harm you instead of benefit you. His timing ensures that blessings arrive only when your heart and life are prepared to receive them. Another layer of His perfect timing is that it aligns with the unseen realities of your destiny. There are people you have not yet met, opportunities that have not yet unfolded, and circumstances that are not yet aligned. Allah coordinates all of these details with precision. What feels like a delay to you may simply be Allah arranging the pieces of your life in a way that will bring the best outcome. You are part of a larger design, and every moment of waiting is part of that design. Impatience makes you want to rush ahead, but trust in Allah's timing teaches you to walk with peace. When you know that Allah's timing is perfect, you stop comparing your journey to others. You stop looking at what someone else received and wondering why you haven't received the same. You realize that your story is unique. Your timeline is written by the one who knows you best, and your blessings will come exactly when they are meant to. Sometimes Allah's perfect timing includes what feels like unanswered prayers. But even unanswered prayers are answered, just in a way you cannot yet understand. The Prophet Muhammad told us that dua is never wasted. It is either answered in this life, stored for the next, or used to protect you from harm. This means that every prayer you make is heard, valued, and responded to. The timing and form of that response are what align with Allah's perfect wisdom. When you embrace this truth, your heart finds peace even in uncertainty. You no longer need to control every outcome, because you know the one in control is never careless. You no longer fear missing out, because what is meant for you will never pass you by, and what passes you by was never meant for you. You learn to live with contentment, because you know every moment of your life is unfolding with precision under Allah's perfect timing.